What if the very thing that made you successful in your early years is what's holding you back right now? This is the Secret Sauce Podcast with Chad Treese and Lacey Moores, where we want to help people build big businesses and live big lives. We think every episode's going to maybe give you one ingredient that you could add to your recipe to create your own secret sauce. Let's get into it.
This episode is about why your second mountain might just be the one that really matters.
I love this topic. I'm super excited, and I know everybody's going to get a lot of this. Not necessarily everybody. I think that there's a lot of people that this episode is for, and that's the ones that have been going at it for a while in a certain field. And
any field.
In any field.
Yep.
Yeah, this applies to everybody. But is starting to feel like they're moving into their second act of their career, maybe. So if you are brand new to an industry and just kind of grinding and getting your feet wet, I would say this may not go listen to a different episode of ours, but save this one for later because you will hit it sooner or later. You will hit the time period where this becomes really...
I almost don't say don't listen. This is going to be one of those things like when you're younger and your parent tells you something and you don't listen, but you hear it. And then later on in life, you're like, oh, this is what they were talking about.
Right. Okay. So if you can remember this for a long enough time that you can recall it, or save it for the time, like save it on your desktop that says open this when you're done grinding and wondering what to do next.
Yeah, do one of those delayed emails, 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Send it to yourself in 10 years.
All right. Well, let's dive in because I think this is an awesome topic and I can't wait to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, I think, so I want to do a little framework here on how this came about. And I'm in the middle of this journey and learning about this. And it's like, this is something I'll probably do over and over and over again because the mentor that's having me go through this has done it multiple times. And there is a book that started him on this and then he went farther. It's called Strength to Strength. But what it really is about is as you've done something for so long or you've been in a career for so long, you start having some emotional tension. And you and I both can really attest to this, but things like fear of being irrelevant or clinging to past achievements, things that made us super successful in the beginning. Those aren't things that really fulfill you anymore. They're not things that bring the same enjoyment. And there's nothing wrong with like that in the beginning, right? Like, because you're building something and you
and
chase
the build is important.
Yeah, and you chase achievements and I have a stand in my office with all of the awards and stuff I've won, and they all mean something to me, and I'm very thankful for them. But when people come in and they're like, oh, look at all these, I'm like, just like, You're
not chasing trophies right now
anymore. Now it doesn't mean I still love them. Like, I'm competitive as anybody else and I love winning. But that's not the purpose anymore. It's not what brings the deep joy in a career. So that's what this episode really more is about is when to make that transition or when to really start looking at how am I feeling in my career? Am I loving it? Am I burnt out? What does that look like? And what if we don't change things? Will our second act be better? Will that second mountain that we climb be impactful?
I don't think it'll be a second act. If you don't change anything, then you have a really long first act and it's going to get really monotonous and
dead,
not fulfilling. The things that brought you the most joy early on were the build, the creation, every time that you did a little bit more than previous month or the previous year, like that brings a lot of fulfillment early on. Mm-hmm. And I never would have thought that I'd hit a point where that wouldn't bring fulfillment. And now I'm like, that is not, like you talk about the trophies or whatever being still you're really proud of. I would say I see those and like they might as well not be there. I don't give them any value.
Really?
I just like...
Cool.
Yeah, they're cool. There's a thing that's in the background of my office. If I happen to do like a webcam or something, you might see something. But other than that, I don't give them any thought.
Yep. Well, so this book has, and I'm going to reference this for a minute and read it just because it's important for us to go a little bit deeper on this. But there are two curves of intelligence. Okay, so curve 1 is what's called the fluid intelligence, and curve 2 is the crystallized intelligence. So the fluid, curve 1, is your rise as a builder and an innovator. So you are a disruptor. This is your first, this journey that you're going through as you're building something and innovating something and creating something. And that is where all of the achievements and the rush and the adrenaline and all of that lives, and you build and you keep going, and it's a great place of fun. It's a great time, and it's a fun place, and it's a hard work, but it feels good. But the crystallized intelligence is your rise as a mentor and your rise as a teacher. And so, being high performers, the experience, like if you don't change, and you only stay in that fluid intelligence, you'll lose all the drive, you lose all the excitement. Climbing one mountain only to discover the real journey begins on that second one.
Yeah, I love that. You're kind of speaking my language too, talking about fluid intelligence and crystallized intelligence. I feel like you're stealing my thunder a little bit.
Well, what do you mean by that?
You know how I know that ChatGPT was involved in, or that you're quoting a book, right?
Yeah.
Is because like this is normally a space where my head goes, and you're kind of like, Chad's nerding out a little bit, right?
Yep.
But I love that you are too. See that. It's super, super cool. Yeah, I took something from this when I was researching it, and what I found was most high performers stumble until they pivot when this happens. So like you've been performing for years and years and years, you'll hit a point where you start to stumble, and I've experienced that. I don't know if you have or not. You've kind of always been growing. 1 year is better than the next. There was a point at which I started to stumble, and I started to lose my drive, but also the numbers started to fall because I just wasn't, I didn't care as much. So it was time to pivot.
You didn't love it.
Yeah. And that was when I did kind of grasp onto, okay, I want to be a coach. I want to be more of a mentor role. Even just meeting with our realtor partners, like sitting down and talking about more than just how I can help them, but how we can help each other, or how they can help me. I think early on, it's all about me. Like, what can I extract from you versus what can I inject into this relationship, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does bring a whole different level. So, when we were doing this, when we were talking about this, there's a story of Charles Darwin. And so he wrote a book in his 40s about the origin of species. But he was
The Origin. That's the book. Yeah,
it is the book. And he was no longer contributing to cutting edge research as he got older. So rather than burning out, because there were younger scientists that had a lot more technology, and they were able to do so much more so faster. Like, are we speaking language to anybody here?
Totally.
That is where that fear piece and that fear of irrelevance comes in.
Got it.
And so he pivoted to writing and mentoring and family life. And he will tell you, he explained, that was the most enjoyable time of his life, is that second part, is when he made that shift and started doing the mentoring and started doing the writing and the really enjoying the family, and it changed everything for him. So it allowed him to enjoy still the first part, but to be able to teach it to others.
Yeah, it makes the first part even better because you see the differentiation of where you're at, so you can really look fondly back on that time, right? Because it was a different chapter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and for me, I got into coaching and was coached for several years, 7 years. And at 7 years is when I started coaching. And starting coaching became a job, because it's a lot. Still high performer and still trying to run a team and still trying to do all this and coach. And when you coach, you take on all those people's burdens and trying to help them and solve those things. And in the beginning, it's a lot. And it doesn't just instantly fulfill, right? Like in the beginning, it's something added on. Like
it's a chore.
It's a chore.
Yeah.
It's a chore. But eventually, once you start seeing people listening and growing and doing what you told them and excelling, now I get it when, I hope my goal is that people that I've coached beat my numbers. I don't want them to do it today.
You got to be gone first.
No, I don't have to be gone, but in a few more years. I'm not out of gas yet. But I want them to crush it, and it makes sense, right? Like when your kids do so well, it's something inside of you that you just can't explain. And when you're coaching and you're teaching people and then they crush it or even do better than you, it is very gratifying.
Yeah. 100%.
It just fills the cup.
There's something that's almost more fulfilling than you doing it yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's the whole concept of just like leaving somebody better than you found them.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure. Or like, you know how people say being a grandparent is so much better than being a parent. You know, you don't realize that until you get there. So again, this is something that you'll be like, oh, they talked about this. And it is so true. It is so true. But I want to leave, I want to talk about how can, like some quick questions or 3 to reflect on, am I at this point, and how do I make that transition, or how do I start to analyze when I move on to the second piece in life? The first question is, what am I clinging to that's no longer working?
I like that. So that just looking, do you have an example for you?
Let's talk about some examples in our industry and or real estate, right? Yeah. Like what are some what are we clinging to that's no longer working?
I mean, I've talked about it before. When what wasn't working was just like dialing on Mondays, just trying to call agents, right. Just picking up the phone and trying to come up every week with some new item of value, some new unique value proposition. Like the grind wasn't working anymore. Like, would it work from a number standpoint?
If you do enough.
Maybe, but if your heart's not in it, and my heart wasn't in it anymore because my heart was shifting to a different place.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The second question is, who could benefit from my hard-earned wisdom?
That's, I think, the even better question. Yeah. Is because most people don't think about that. They're just thinking about like, how do I climb higher? How do I keep going? How do I keep grinding? How do I beat last month's numbers? Yeah. All of that. How do I chase accolades? Yep. Versus, who can benefit from?
Well, and this is even part of the second act, but even in the building stage, you and I both started as one-man shows, right? Like we did it all, from all the way to the beginning to all the way to the end. And then we started learning we need help. And it was hard to let people do that because we have control issues and they won't ever do it as good as we do it. But then we start teaching them, right? And and this is in any position. Like when you are at your absolute max, you got to teach that person. And then they learn. But what's really fun with it is when they start doing it really, really well. And when they do it, almost do it better than you. Right? Like
I would say, they do. They do. There's definitely instances where they're going to do it better than you.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, because that's the one, like it's really defined skill set that they're working on. And so I think that question right there of who could benefit from my hard-earned wisdom, that can be at any point, really, in your life, because it could be in that building stage and it can be in that second stage. But it's really, really good here. And then the third one is, what part of my life could be richer if I stopped chasing and started teaching?
I love that question. Yeah. I mean, these are things that I hadn't necessarily even thought about until you presented this episode, but I think I've definitely made that shift unintentionally, maybe.
Yeah, we can
unintentionally.
Look at our lives and seeing that we're already doing it.
But I wish I would have listened to an episode like this earlier and asked those questions of myself, because it is the most fulfilling stage. And so if I could go back in time and have shifted into this, stage a little bit earlier, I think that it would have been a very good move for me. Sure. I love that we're putting those questions in people's mind.
But I also think too that you can't do it, like you have to go through the journey first, right? Like you got to climb the first mountain first. And that's where you get a lot of the experience, and that's where you get the knowledge to be wise.
Yeah, nobody's going to listen. Nobody's going to listen to your message. Nobody's going to listen to your direction on how to climb the mountain if you haven't climbed it yourself.
But once you get there, man, that second climb it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I want to read this quote really quick, Chad. You can't be the person you were and the person you're becoming at the same time.
Yeah, very, very true. And it's something you don't think about very often, but one foot in, 1 foot out, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
And do we spend time thinking about the person we want to become at this stage? I thought about it a lot in the beginning, right? Like who I was chasing or what numbers I wanted to hit, like all of those things. But now like sitting down and really like drawing the second part. What do I want this to look like, and what do I want to become through this?
Yeah, and how do I do it?
And how do I do it? Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to put into practice if you don't ask yourself this stuff. It's not going to just like happen. Yep. So I love that there's a framework for it.
Yep. Maybe the strength you need next isn't climbing faster, but it's climbing differently.
Yeah. Yeah, going a different way, right?
All of it. Yeah. Yeah, we just did a podcast on picking a different path. I just think that this one is so relevant for some.
Definitely.
For sure. But it's also makes you want to, like, I still got so much time left. I still got so much left to give. And this book is challenging me to really be intentional about how that lasts, like, I'm acting like I'm dying. I'm not dying. But how that second part looks, and how I bring fulfillment to it and enjoyment to it and love for it. And I mean, I live this out every day in the coaching. Like I said, I love coaching. I love still being coached because there's so much I still have to learn. I feel like I'm still a mess. But
that's good. Like actually seeing it for yourself and saying, like, continuing to grow so you can continue. Like, I look at it like, you continue to climb so you can pull others up, yes. Right? Lift others up as you climb.
Yep.
Kind of, if to continue to do the climbing in the mountain metaphor.
Right.
Is like you can't pull people up if you're not continuing to climb, right? It's going to be real hard to push somebody up the mountain.
Right. I'm going to say one more thing about that and we can wrap this up. Early on, climbing, trying to beat everybody, trying to put up the numbers. I had a mentor say, hey, getting to the top of the mountain isn't about standing up there and stomping on everybody's fingers as they're trying to climb up.
Yeah.
It's about you getting up there, and now you're bending over and you start pulling people up with you.
Yeah, it's a beautiful visual for sure.
It's such a visual. And it's so fulfilling.
Yeah, most definitely.
It's so fulfilling to still love what you do and stay in, and like you and I are both in production and still love it, but then being able to show others and help others and teach others, and that piece is just icing on the cake. I think it's the grandchildren side of what we do in our industry, and it's probably anybody, right? Like in any sort of industry.
Yeah, this is not specific to any industry at all.
Yeah, but icing on the cake.
It's a beautiful topic. Thanks for bringing it to the forefront. Is there anything that you want to leave everybody with?
No, I just hope that it's value to somebody. Like, I hope that this sits somewhere with somebody who needs it right now. But again, I think that if you don't need it right now, it's something that you'll remember down the road.
Yeah. And in the spirit of this episode, if it spoke to you and you're already living that life, we'd love it if you'd share it with somebody else, yes. Because that's what pulling other people up is all about. Absolutely. So grab something from this, pull somebody up with it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.